Hello, and welcome to another edition of Banter by the Blender. This edition is in Bryan Head, Utah, and I'm here with my mom.
Hello there.
Today, we're going to be cooking lentil quinoa yellow curry.
Excellent.
So today, I'm going to show you what a standard good meal that's plant-based and nutritious and delicious. And this is actually one of my standard meals that I make for potlucks. What you really need as a foundation is, my favorite is you go with lentils, which you can get dry. Or if you want to cheat, you can use a package. But it's a little bit more fun to do it from the beginning because you can buy tons of lentils and tons of quinoa dry and just cook them together and make something delicious. So first you choose your foundation, or the base, or the part of the meal that is what holds all the flavor. In this case, we're doing quinoa and lentils because both are an excellent base and you can cook them together.
Can I just butt in?
Yes.
Are we using the dried lentils and quinoa or the pre-cooked ones?
That's correct. We will be using the dry ones so we can throw out the backup lentils.
Now I understand. Thank you.
So if you just cooked quinoa and lentils and added one more thing, it's actually pretty good. And you can eat so much of it, and that's fine. But the key to making a really delicious dish is to have at least 3 ingredients that are coming in on top of the foundational food. And then on top of that, if you want to make it really good, then you choose a sauce. And in this case, we are going to be doing that because we're looking to make something particularly delicious. And I recommend this
Because
yellow curry.
I'm hungry.
Yes. Yeah, we have hunger here, and we're trying to push the limits with cooking and make something really good with this plant-based meal that's satisfying and full.
Richard, get on with it.
And high in protein, which is one of the things that quinoa introduces. And cashews you can add to these types of meals. Let us move on to the first step. Now, when you're dealing with quinoa, you can get a wide variety. This quinoa isn't particularly very good.
Isn't?
No.
Oh,
I
it's
recommend
Costco.
you can get this giant bag of Costco quinoa, and it's okay. But most quinoa you have to rinse before you use it. And I think this is one of those. You probably, if you don't rinse it, it will have a slight flavor that I don't think is very good. So the first step is if you can get warm water and you pour it on top, and you kind of rinsing it and making it
Washing it.
yeah, washing it pretty much. And you can let that sit for a little while. And what's happening is quinoa naturally has an oil on the seed that hinders digestion and adds a weird, strange flavor that if we remove it, it cooks better. So that's the first step. Sometimes you'll get quinoa that will say pre-washed, and still, if you wash it more, it is even better. Another way you can wash it is by putting it under the sink like this. And you'll see that it does make a kind of like a bubbly oil. Something's going on here.
Yeah.
And as much as you can remove that, the better. So that's the first step, is you're trying to remove the oil from the quinoa. That's going to change the flavor of the quinoa, and you're just trying to remove that oil.
I am surprised by how much frothy water you're getting off it. I'm quite very surprised.
Yeah, and if you keep doing it, it'll eventually stop having that froth.
Can you show everybody what it looks like now?
Yeah.
And I would keep sieving it. So I'm surprised.
Don't worry about doing measurements. So a lot of the moisture is, I just pay attention to it while you're cooking. And if it starts to dry out, you add some liquid. And that's pretty much how I do it. You can measure everything out. It should be 2 to 1.
Two quinoa to 1 lentils, or the other way around?
Actually, 2 cups of water to 1 cup of either lentil or quinoa.
Or a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 2 cups of water.
Yeah. So you should have a good amount of water on top. If you keep an eye on it as you're cooking, you just make sure there's moisture in it. As you add more stuff, it'll absorb that moisture. So usually you end up pretty good in the end.
And you don't wash the lentils?
Nah. I suppose you could.
We'll stick with no, it's easier.
Yeah. This type of cooking is fast and dirty.
Yeah, I'm very hungry and I'm interested in the fast bit.
Mm-hmm. And if it's Hawaiian food and you happen to cook it too hot, then you might need to have it on aloha temperature. So let's crank this up to the highest degree. So what we have here is the quinoa and lentil. It's the base. You always choose a base foundation. You can do brown rice as another base. But quinoa and lentils, or quinoa or lentils, are both excellent foundations.
Okay, we got that. Do we need this onion here?
Now, you have choices, and all kinds of choices. And what you normally do is just open your fridge, find some Whole Foods, choose 3 or more, and then mix them, chop them up, and mix them together. So what we got here is onion. You can put onion in everything, and it makes it deliciously amazing.
As I was a young person, I believed that the Egyptians ate a lot of onions, and that's how they managed to build the pyramids.
From onion power?
Yeah, onion power.
Onion didn't know that. Would you like to chop this onion, my mom?
I can chop the onion.
Okay, yes.
Leave that with me.
There's no secret to it. Chefs will tell you how not to do it, but not here, not in this kitchen. Just trying to get through and chop it in little pieces without hurting yourself.
What are you doing when I'm chopping then?
I'm going to choose some other flavors.
What was that? Oh my goodness.
Pick up some avocados.
Excellent source of nutrients.
Mm-hmm. Mushrooms are another delicious ingredient. They make everything taste better. So one of my favorite ways of doing this is onion, mushroom, and cashews. Cashews is another amazing ingredient you can add to a lot of dishes, and it adds a texture and a flavor that's really great. Another ingredient that helps a lot with this is if you get a bouillon. In the very beginning, I was very careful about making things taste good. Now I'm a little bit lax. I don't even think that these sauces are really needed, or even this bouillon. But as you're starting out, you're really trying to make sure it tastes good. And this is a better than bouillon vegetable base. So this, you can just add a teaspoon of it into what's cooking right now. And what it does is it just makes it taste better on its own. Another aspect of this style of cooking is you develop a taste for it. So some people might feel resistance in the beginning.
It always tastes good, Richard. Come on, stop digging yourself into a hole.
But one of the points I want to get at here is we choose our diet. And when we choose what we want to eat, we figure out how to cook with it, and then our taste buds adapt to that, and it tastes good to us. We've evolved over billions of years eating whole plant-based foods. It's exactly what our bodies are designed for, and so we're just figuring out how to mix the ingredients so that it's filling, and that it's balanced, and that it has everything that we need to be strong and healthy.
Is this too coarse a chop?
You cannot do it too coarse.
Okay, so this is all right then.
Yes, that's really good. And over here, it's getting really hot. You can see there's still lots of liquid. It's going to take 20 or 30 minutes before it absorbs all the liquid, or gets to a point where it's cooked.
That long?
Yes. But the good news is you can add your other ingredients whenever you're ready.
Right, this is ready.
As I mentioned,
onions need a long time to cook.
when you look up cooking videos, you might hear things about timing and getting things, things in a certain order, but
oh, careful.
Don't worry about that.
Just stick it in there.
Yeah, it's really coming down to the way that the flavors mix. All the ingredients have to get heated up.
Chop up the onion, please. Could you put that into those little bits that are on the oven? Can you get that?
Yeah.
And you want these cut up small?
Yes.
How many?
About 5 or so.
5?
Yeah.
This is a meal for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see. And then as you're cooking, you can check the water levels too. And if it feels like it's getting dry, you add more liquid. And if it looks like it's good, then you don't have to add the liquid.
Remember, we're adding a sauce at the end, which will make it easy to eat, palatable.
Yeah.
Not dry.
Also, if the dish starts to get really, really hot, it's a great time to add frozen peas. And I'm just gonna add, I don't know, just this many. I like a lot. Some people don't like it as much, but
Do you want small choppings of this?
yeah.
Onion chopped small, okay.
And of course, the frozen peas drop the temperature for a little while, so you can keep it on high. Another secret ingredient is when you're starting out, you can always add plant-based meats of any kind. You just chop it up and add it in there. And this would definitely add a lot of flavor. It's got a lot of fat, and it has
Plant fat.
It has plant-based fat. So
Yes.
it's still saturated fat though. It's not very good for you.
Really?
Yeah,
I
this
didn't
is
realize
not
that.
good for you. It's way better for the earth. It's way better for the animals, and it's slightly better for the humans. This has fiber in it. This has other nutrients that's better than beef. So overall, this is much better than cooking and eating beef. But it is not a health food. So the only reason you would add it is to make it taste good.
Is your pot going to be big enough when you add all these extra things? I think you
Yes.
started with a
Yeah,
small pot.
that does happen to me a lot. As you add more and more ingredients,
You
the
get
pot
to-
gets bigger and bigger. But I usually just max out the pot size.
I would use a wooden spoon as well because it's
Yeah,
going
you're
to
right.
be
Can
heating
we-
up.
and also
This is garlic.
garlic. Yeah.
We're going to add the mushrooms and then I shall
Oh, yes,
cut up
yes.
the garlic. You just want me to mince it or?
Yeah.
Let me just get down to- Yep.
So tilt this a little bit so you can see. And I should get a wooden spoon.
Is this big enough? Just one clove? You sure that's enough?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this straw here. That's a wooden spoon.
Oh yes.
Much better. You won't burn your fingers then.
Another secret ingredient, if you're starting out, is coconut oil. You can always add coconut oil to things and it will taste better. It's not a health food, and
Well,
so
leave that out. I'm not too keen.
I'm going to leave it out. But you know, the first French fry wasn't made in France. It
Wasn't
made-
cooked in France.
It was
was
made.
It was
Greece.
cooked in Greece. It's got to be cooked in Greece.
What?
Because that's the first French fry was not cooked in France. No, it was cooked in Greece.
Yeah.
Garlic just
Okay.
there. And you only want one bit?
hmm
One. Okay.
So
Right.
now it's starting to get a little dry, meaning like I could add some moisture, but and a lot of times I cook just like this and eat and let this cook out and just eat it, because once you're got your taste buds adapted to this type of food, this is all it needs. But we're going the extra distance this time. We're going to be adding the yellow curry, which adds moisture and gets absorbed by all the other layers involved.
And you can add a drop of water to that, clean out the jar and make sure you get it all out.
Yes.
Excellent. Waste not, want not.
Mm-hmm. And do you know how to cook an alligator?
In a crock pot.
Yeah!
Yeah. That is looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to, you're going to let it cook for a while then? Is that the plan?
Mm-hmm. Lastly is the cashews, and ideally
Want to
they'd be
chop them?
crushed. So
Crushed.
let's crush a good pile of cashews here. Cooking with tofu is another option.
Yeah.
Very nutritious and not very processed compared to the impossible.
Tell me how many of these you want.
More.
More?
More.
More? More?
A little bit more. A little more.
Yeah?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
This
going to eat one.
adds a lot of flavor. The cashews are kind of like,
Salty as well.
yeah. Then you just experiment with whatever you have in the pantry. It's up to you. As you continue to cook, you'll find that certain things work and certain things do not. I like sesame seeds a lot. It's another secret ingredient you can always add. And everything but the bagel has sesame seeds in it. Not as many as I'd like, but this is always a great little secret ingredient to add.
What's inside there?
It's sesame seeds and black pepper and like a dried garlic, maybe dried onion, and salt.
Salt. Do you have any advice about how much salt to eat?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
You don't think that salt is a bad thing at all?
Well, I don't add much salt. I know I just did with the everything seasoning, but because the cashews usually have salt in
Yes,
it,
it's true.
and oftentimes if you choose a sauce, it'll have salt in it, and you can always add salt at the very end. It means oftentimes I don't add salt.
Yes, I'm in agreement with that. There's enough salt in our food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. There we go.
Now I'm going to add this part. You can do whole cashews as an option if you don't feel like doing the chopping. Just drop them right in. In fact, I'm going to add a few whole cashews.
They are delicious.
And they add a little extra texture that kind of make it more interesting and more enjoyable to eat. Instead of just a lot of mushy flavor, you get a little crunch in there.
Yes, that's good. That is looking good. I would still recommend starting with a bigger pot.
Yeah, this is pushing the limits of this pot right here.
Yeah, yeah, it's all over the stove.
So this is the final step. You can really, this part, the longer you do it,
The better it
the
flavors.
better it mixes and the flavors. The onions, if they get real hot, they get soft and the flavor expands. Same with the garlic. It's much nicer if the garlic has really gotten time to be cooked and soften and exchange flavors with everything else that's in there.
So you're going to simmer it for say 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Okay, let's do that then.
Yes, and another thing is you can judge how moist it is, and that determines if you how much of the lid you put on, because some of the moisture leaves when you leave the lid off a
the
little bit.
texture, yes.
So that's it. We'll let it sit for a little while, and we'll check in on it in 10 minutes. All right, so we've let it cook for a little while, and this is how it looks. We're gonna do
Wonderful.
a taste test next. Let's serve a little bit. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Let's just taste
Right,
it.
let's have a taste test.
Okay.
Let me see what I think.
Yeah, let it cool off a little bit.
Now, I'm not very good with flavors, but there's a whole bunch in here. And there's just lots of food in here.
Yeah.
I can taste everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
It really comes together well.
Mm. And then the background flavor of the curry powder. But I can taste all the individual ingredients. The cashews and the peas, the onions, mushrooms.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yep. That's
You'd
it.
think it would be mushy, but it isn't. It's very crunchy.
Yep. There's a lot to chew on. It's quite good. And one of the great things about this type of eating is because it's integrated with fiber, with whole foods that have been cooked, you can pretty much eat until you're full, and that's the correct amount to eat. So there's no calorie counting, there's no limitation. because the fiber is correctly balanced in it, your body's able to send the correct signals and it's very satisfying.
If I had one critique, apart from it being delicious, the critique is I would have cooked the onions for longer.
Yes, I can taste that too. The onions need
the onions
longer.
are a little strong. They need to be mellowed out.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, there's nothing more tasty than fried onions. So you might even want to try once. Fry them in avocado oil, olive oil, and they are delicious though.
Yes. What I'll often do with this kind of dish is serve some right now.
Right.
We'll eat it, and then I'll leave it on a kind of a simmer temperature, and it'll keep cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, when you come back to this later,
It's
it's even better.
Yeah. As I was bringing up 3 boys, that is what I would do. Whatever meal they didn't finish the day before got incorporated into the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Always the way. And it always tasted better the second day.
Yes.
There's a huge cashew nut here. Hot.
Oh yeah. Yes, it's very hot. Well, and that's it. Quinoa, lentil, yellow curry.
And delicious.